We are back for another episode of SJHL Weekly. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jeromy Corrigan. We have a great episode lined up, another jam-packed episode of SJHL Weekly, but we wouldn't be able to make this show possible without our great sponsors here at SJHL Weekly: Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Great Western, Canterra Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGU, Direct West, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Tourism Saskatchewan, and Young's Equipment. Thank you so much for your support, because without your support, we wouldn't be able to put on this show each and every week. Like I mentioned, we have a jam-packed show. We will be joined by the CEO of Canadian Western Agribition, Shaun Kindopp, to talk about Agribition coming up next week here in the city of Regina. We'll also be joined by the head coach and general manager of the Melville Millionaires, Mike Rooney, to get his thoughts on the start of the season for the Millionaires and a very busy week ahead for the Moneymen. But it's time now to bring in my great co-hosts, that being Rory Mcgouran and Jamie Neugebauer. Boys, how are we doing today? How was the weekend?
Very good. Shout out to Wilkie, Saskatchewan as well for hosting the Battleford North Stars and coming out in droves. It was a packed house there. Battleford staying undefeated in regulation, but you love seeing neutral site games where the town and everyone supports the SJHL. So shout out first of all to Wilkie.
And on short notice too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big credit to them.
Yeah, again, the short notice element of it. Again, great weekend. Really excited that the World Cup is coming up. As you can see, Canada plays on Wednesday, and supposedly Alfonso Davies will be in the lineup for Canada. We hear on Wednesday, is what he said. But anyways, very excited. And again, I have to say sorry to Rory here and all the Winnipeg Blue Bombers fans there for a tough way to end the Grey Cup. But this is a hockey show, supposedly.
I mean, you are so-called by our great commissioner, Kyle McIntyre, the Elliot Friedman of the SJHL. But for the next, 2-3 weeks, you'll be our correspondent for the FIFA World Cup.
Perfect.
And our Canada
Get
reporter
the update ready for next week.
So Nugsy will be there, and he'll have updates weekly.
I'm ready at any time. Hit me up on Twitter. I will respond with my thoughts on the World Cup at any time.
Perfect. We've got the budget for you to cover the World Cup this series. Hopefully.
I'm off to Qatar.
Right.
Let's go.
We'll talk to Jacob about it. All right, but there was lots of hockey games to get to over the weekend in the SJHL. So let's pull them up. Friday, 5 games on the schedule. The Estevan Bruins knocked off the Melville Millionaires 3-2. Notre Dame got by Yorkton 5-1. Battleford's with a big 5-2 win over Flin Flon. Nipawin winning 7-4 over Kindersley, and Laurent with a 6-1 win over Weyburn. Then on Saturday, Battleford with a 4-3 overtime win over the Flin Flon Bombers. Ooh, there's 2 Estevan logos up there. Estevan knocked off Yorkton 3-2. Melfort with a 3-2 overtime win over the Humboldt Broncos. Kindersley doubled up Nipawin 6-3, and Larange won 7-1 over Weyburn. Then on Sunday, a rare afternoon game. Flin Flon knocking off Humboldt to wrap up 3-3 over the Broncos, winning 4-1. And of course, all of our recaps are presented by Sask Lotteries. We'll start with the games that you guys were both at. Rory, we'll start with the Humboldt Broncos. Tough weekend at home, picking up 1 out of a possible 4 points. But what did you make of their weekend, and I guess the matchups that you saw?
You know, both were they were close games. Yeah. They're sliding a bit, though. When you look at the last 9 games, they've lost 6 times, right? Going back to that home and home with the Battleford's North Stars, split that series, and then went down south, 3 losses down south, picked up 2 wins against the Notre Dame Hounds, but then losses against Melfort and losses against Flin Flon. So they're kind of coming up short when it comes to facing the top competition in the league, which is maybe a wake-up call for the players. It's a wake-up call for the Broncos, who started off the season 8-0. In the Melfort game, typical rivalry Bronco-Melfort game, really tight, not a lot of secondary opportunities. Both James Venn and Ben Motu played exceptionally in net, though, stopping whatever A-grade chances came their way. And David Ryu, who only has 2 goals on the season, but a really impactful game, a 2004 birth year for Melfort, who showcased that he can be a guy to kind of watch out for if he finds his groove coming up. Then in the Flin Flon game, a 3 p.m. start. No excuses for either side, as the Bombers were on 3 games in 3 days. Shout out to Harmon Laser-Hume, who played every game for the Flin Flon Bombers. They picked up 3 out of 6 points, which is pretty good when you're facing Battleford's twice and Humboldt once.
Right.
Humboldt was asleep for the first 12 minutes. And after the first 12 minutes, it was 2-0 for the Flin Flon Bombers. And they just had troubles trying to get back, because I don't know if there's a team in the league that plays better with a lead than the Flin Flon Bombers, and they just shut it down.
Going back to the Melfort game, we've talked about I think, since the first episode of the show this year. The Melfort Mustangs, I think the three of us all projected them to be one of the top teams in the league. They've had an up and down start to the year, but now they've won 4 in a row. Is this the team that we've kind of now expected? The way that they're playing now is what we kind of expected.
Well, really impressive character by the Melfort Mustangs. You talk about hard times. I think a lot of the teams in this league are dealing with illness, first of all.
Yeah,
I think they're having issues. There was no Leighton Holine in this game. There was no Ben Tkaczyk in this game. No Zach Summers. No Clark Huxley. No Cam Imai, et cetera, et cetera. So they still found a way. Ryan Duguay has been huge, and you mentioned it there, Ryu, with the beautiful dangle. And so,
nice goal,
but
man.
the fact and no disrespect to David Ryu, but in terms of the pecking order of Melfort forwards, for him to be on the ice in overtime means that there was a lot of guys that weren't in the lineup for Melfort, with no disrespect, as I said, to David Ryu. So he was on the ice and took advantage of his opportunity, and good for him. But, just for Melfort to find that way to do so, it shows a lot of character, when maybe earlier in the year we were wondering if the Melfort Mustangs had bought in to what Trevor Blevins was preaching, even though they did have a lot of talent that we all agreed that they had.
It was just some inconsistency throughout the first going of the early season, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, they rattle off 2 big wins against Estevan down south. What do they won? 4 games in a row now, beating Humboldt, a rival. I know out of division, but those games are rivalries.
100%.
If you're asking me, right? Only an hour apart. I think it's kind of finding their groove, and it's huge for the culture of a team to battle through adversity. And like Nugsy said, they had a lot of key players out of the lineup and still beat a really competitive Humboldt team.
And you guys teased it, but let's have a look at it. The overtime winner from the Melfort Humboldt game is our Tourism Saskatchewan highlights of the week.
Right on him, trying to skate free his Tuba. Up top, Ty Evans. Mustangs now with some pressure. Here comes Ryan Duguay. In down the right wing. Duguay, top of the zone, off the bench. It's David Ryu. He gets around. Ryu in, shoots, scores! It's an overtime winner for David Ryu, and the Melfort Mustangs will pick up a 3-2 victory here in Humboldt.
And the other thing I think with the Melfort Mustangs that we should probably talk about when it comes to this 4-game winning streak, at the beginning of the year, they were really struggling to find the back of the net. And now, obviously, the last 4 games, they've gotten contributions from a number of different players that aren't those big names.
How about the call on that one?
That was pretty good.
Pretty decent,
That was
right?
pretty good.
Pretty decent.
Newsy, what you think of it?
Yeah, especially for the Humboldt broadcaster when Melfort scores in overtime. Hey, big time kudos to not be too big of a homer. Let her rip on it. Hey, you know what? We the overtime goals. We gotta let her rip.
Yeah.
We gotta let her rip. So good for you, Rory.
I let it ride, man.
Yeah.
60-40. Right?
Good for you.
Yeah, that's 60-40.
There you go.
But yeah, no, it's a great play by Ryu, and the Broncos clearly couldn't get the puck out of the zone, and Ryu was the one who changed off the bench, right? So he was already coming in with a full head of steam, and Broncos flat-footed, no chance for Jacob Boucher, who Ryu walked around and then went 5-0 through Motu. Great goal.
For sure. Nugsy, let's talk about the game you were at Friday, a 5-1 win for the Notre Dame Hounds over the Yorkton Terriers. What did you think of the performance for the Hounds, and what led them to this success?
Yeah, usually a team, if they're starting slowly, like they get momentum from them scoring a goal, like a goal changes games. But it was Yorkton who scored 10 minutes in that turned the Hounds on. The Hounds were asleep for about the first 10 minutes of the game, and then Connor Selesky scored a nice goal for Yorkton, and then it was all Notre Dame really for I think for the next 50 minutes. In that game, a really impressive effort, from a lot of Hounds players. Could go down the list, but, I'm really happy to see Jacob Leege, really starting to figure it out in terms of, he had always had the speed, but I think the game was a little bit too fast for him even still. He's a great player, lots of speed, really good in training camp, but he's starting to learn, and he's starting to separate guys from the puck on the forecheck and generate offense that way, and that's what he saw from those 3 assists he got in that game against Yorkton, where, hard on the forecheck, separate, find a guy and make something happen that way. Use your speed in a gritty way. And Jacob Leege was able to get rewarded from that. And then Cypress Smith-Davis, who, again, people maybe don't know the name yet, but the Hounds, really brought him in because he had a great year in AAA last year, and a guy that was definitely on the BCHL's radar and had a great training camp. And he's finally starting to figure it out. He had 2 goals and was really impressive. So yeah, it was an impressive 50 minutes from the Hounds, and I think from again the Yorkton perspective, they got to be happy with what they got from Connor Selesky. But other than Caleb Allen in the net, I think they're needing some guys to step up there right now.
what can Yorkton do just from your perspective of watching the game? Because now it's 2 straight times that Notre Dame's defeated Yorkton. They're a team that's struggling, right? There's no way to kind of put it nicely. They're just in a lump right now. And what do you think that they need to do a little bit better to kind of correct that? Because they are trying to bring in players. They're trying to address 100%. It. We know that the playoff race is nowhere near out of grasp.
Especially in the bottom
team in
6.
the league, right? Any
100%.
team. But you got to address it quick because we're about to hit the Christmas break, and we know that the intensity and the ability to find points after the break becomes exponentially harder. So how do they correct it soon?
Well, one issue, and it will be interesting to talk about it later. Maybe we'll see the reverse for L'Orange, but the Yorkton Terriers have not played at home in a long time because they were out of their rink at Westland Arena. I asked Matt Hare about it. And he said, they just had the ice back in the rink. They couldn't even practice in their rink.
Oh, okay,
so
that was
tricky. That
Very
game
big
against
deal.
the Notre Dame Hounds was their first game, I think, in about 2 or 3 weeks there in Yorkton. That's tough for a young team, especially like the Yorkton Terriers that don't score super fluently. They rely on a Dylan Ruptash, a Brett Butts, a Greg Nelson a lot to score goals, and bringing Connor Selesky is a big addition. But I don't really know. I'm guessing Matt Hare and his staff are thinking about that. There are a few guys in this league that can rally a team from adverse situations, from thinking this is a tough stretch, we're going to write out the Yorkton Terriers, and Matt Hare grasps that type of a scenario as well as any coach has in the league the last 4 or 5 years since he's been in the league, and the Terriers have risen, and people all of a sudden at the end of the year like, oh, where did the Yorkton Terriers come from? So again, do not write off the Yorkton Terriers. Do not panic if you're a Yorkton Terriers fan. But yeah, it's been a tough stretch.
2 wins in the last 10 games is it's tough, right? You gotta address something because it's not
they beat Flin Flon in Flin Flon.
That's right.
And they beat Notre Dame in Wilcox, which is again not an easy place to go for a lot of teams that aren't named the Humboldt Broncos. But so they did get some hard fought wins, and they do have an incredible #1 goaltender in Caleb Allen. He's been outstanding. But yeah, I'm sure Matt Harris thinking about that same question, Rory.
Let's talk a little bit about the #1 team in the CJHL, the Battleford North Stars. Despite not being able to play their home games in their home rink, they found a way to win in both Wilkie and Battleford, not North Battleford. Have to clarify that. People were getting confused online about that. But a 5-2 win on Friday against the Flin Flon Bombers, an overtime win over the Bombers then on Saturday in a completely different rink. And even though they had to fight a little bit of adversity not playing in their home rink, the beat goes on for those Battleford North Stars, and they find different ways to win.
Yeah, I mean,
were they outplayed in both games?
They were definitely
outshot. They outplayed them, that's what I'm asking.
Josh
was there.
They were outshot.
Josh Cote, officially, anyways, faced 114 shots
in two games.
And he allowed 5. The Battleford North Stars scored 5 of their 9 goals in the second period. But Josh Cote, whether or not those shot totals are accurate, it does demonstrate that the Flin Flon Bombers played pretty well.
Yeah,
60 shots in game 1.
And last week I joked when we were looking forward, right? I said, Mike Reagan, are you trying to kill your guys? And he was nice enough to text me back, and he said, haha, that. He's great. I really appreciate his interaction with this show. And so he's like, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But his guys played super well, I thought, over the 3 games. And again, tough situation going into Battleford's is, those rinks are, even though obviously they're not Battleford's rinks, they were really close to Battleford's, relatively speaking. So it was still probably a pretty pro Battleford's crowd. And again, small rink, tight confines. I love those neutral site games. Working for Notre Dame, I've called all sorts of neutral site games since I've moved to Saskatchewan, and just awesome in the Wilkie communities. We've talked about they come out
together, right?
super cool, as we talked about for them. But then Josh Cote, whether or not those shot totals are accurate, amazing performances. He's now 15-0-2-1 on the year with a 194 and a 945 save percentage, and he's just being pelted with some shots lately. I mean, Braden Klamosko has not been through the roof, to the moon with the way that his team has played lately. He's just, they find a way to win.
They do,
and that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, the beat goes on for the Battleford North Stars. That's all it is. And Kean Bell, that top line, 19th league leading goal in the overtime victory. It's crazy how long this unbeaten in regulation streak is going for.
Yeah.
And they got through, I know last week we talked about it, how long will it last, right? I'm like, well, they got the Flin Flon Bombers twice, and the next 2 games against the Orange Ice Wolves. I was like, if it doesn't happen in that 4-game set, I don't think it happens before Christmas.
Yeah.
I said it would happen in that 4-game set. Well, they got through the first half of it, and it's just it's becoming remarkable to keep talking about this streak for the Battleford's North Stars, because Nugsy mentioned it. They just find a way to win. They were outplayed in both games by talking to the, a lot of people who were around closer to the game than I was, and still they just find a way to win, which is crazy.
Good teams find a way to win. I also want to just give a shout out.
This isn't even a good team. Like, this is something that's never been even approached, with the longevity that we're getting to how far they've gone without being beaten in regulation. It's crazy.
It's very impressive what Braden Klamosko and his coaching staff and their organization have done so far this season. I also want to give a big shout out to the North Stars just for the fact that they were able to get, even though it was last minute going to both Wilkie and Battleford, they had hockey TV streams for both games, so fans could still watch the games online. Awesome. To get that up and running in the span of a couple of days, very difficult. So big shout out to the North Stars organization for being able to do that. Before
we move on, and before we move on from maybe the Flin Flon Bombers even, I also want to shout them out for 3-3, going to the Elgar Peterson Arena, a tough place to go, and winning a game, as you talked about, playing well over the course of that game. And specifically, I want to shout out Cole Dupereau. And you think about the human element of this game, right? His buddies there, Jacob Vockler and Jaden Mercier have their commitments. D1, up there, Vockler and Mercy getting it pretty recently, and Dupereau, he's like, maybe it's my turn now. And some guy might put their head down, might be like, that's a tough situation for me, adversity-wise. Where's mine? Why aren't I getting any attention? Well, he's actually responded extremely well. We're going to talk about him, I think, with the players of the week. But very impressive last 4 or 5 games from Cole Dupereau. A hat trick there against Humboldt, a shorty, a power play goal, and an empty net goal.
3 different ways.
Three different ways. And boy, can he shoot the puck. We talk about guys in this league that can shoot the puck. There's like Keaton Klein, there's like Zach Kane, like Dupereau's right up there.
And you mentioned 3-3. Well, they also played that game midweek against Nipawin too, so they had a very busy week, 4 games on the road for sure. Moving on, a dominant weekend for the L'Orange Ice Wolves at home. We talked about their 6-game homestand. Well, they swept the 6 games. They're on a 6-game winning streak, and they look very impressive right now.
13-2. They outscored the Weyburn Red Wings. It's tough. It's tough trekking up there in the Mel Hagelin Arena, especially with how good the L'Orange Ice Wolves are playing. I know your power rankings are coming out this week, and if it wasn't for how we just talked about the remarkable Battleford's North Stars, L'Orange is the best team in the league right now, and I don't think there's any debate in it.
They're playing very well.
They're playing well. I mean, you take the scores against Weyburn, their scores recently to Hart there. They've outscored their opponents over the 6-game win streak at home 33-8. 33-8.
That's insane.
That's insane.
It is insane.
And it hasn't been smooth sailing in terms of injuries and health up there either. And they've made some moves. Dallin Pikakuk came in. He was not in the lineup. Again, Riley Morgan, he's not in the lineup. Where is he? Walker Jerome missed a game. Still, the beat goes on. The captain. They brought in a really, really good young kid I really like in Blake Ekron-Bratton, who I'm sure the Medicine Hat Tigers, the Western Hockey League, have their eyes pretty close on. But he's a good big guy, and they got a sneaky good blue line. You're right, with Parker Layton and Connor Abrick and Miles Gust and etc. Those guys do a lot of little things well. They're hard to play against first and foremost, and that's what you need in that little rink up there.
I want to shout out Megan Hayhurst too for all the work that she's done with L'Orange. I know she parted ways, so no longer there. And then welcome back Braden Mulsbury as well up to L'Orange. So welcome back to the SJ family.
And Megan's feature with women in the SJHL is going to continue, which is great. We've gotten some great feedback on her features, and those will continue for the next 2.5, 3 months. So she's still going to be around the SJHL family for sure. Moving on, the Estevan Bruins, 2 big wins on the road against 2 divisional matchups, 3-2 winners over Melville and Yorkton. And right now they have a pretty substantial lead in that Viterra division.
Pretty substantial. Didn't start out that way.
No, it didn't.
We were wondering what
didn't.
the heck was happening in the Viterra division. Close games, though, for the Estevan Bruins. And
trailing 2-0 to Melville.
It's division rivals, though, right? Like, although Melville and Yorkton are in a nice chunk below the Estevan Bruins right now, they stuck in it. So I think that's got to be motivating towards those two teams who are fighting to get back into sort of the playoff picture. But
sure.
Again, every time we talk about Estevan, we talk about Cam Hrdlicka, because every single win that Estevan has come from Cam Hrdlicka being in net. So, yeah, I thought the games were really close. I thought they were division rival games, and I didn't really take too much away from the losses for Melville and Yorkton, because you got to be able to keep up with Estevan, and I think they did that.
Well, you asked me like what Yorkton could do, right? And one of the things that we saw Melville do when they really were turning things around last year was play a much more simple, much more basic, much more defensive style of hockey. Take low risk, keep the puck to the outside, block a lot of shots, et cetera, et cetera. Be solid. And both of these games, both for Melville and for Yorkton, were very low shot, low scoring chance games. In the game between Estevan and Yorkton, there was a combined 46 shots for both teams. Like, that is a very small number, right? Like, we see teams put up 40 shots by themselves.
Flip-Flop's averaging 40.
Yeah,
so 22 games.
So there you go, right? But the beat again. You talk about the beat going on for Battleford's finding ways to win games, and yes, Cam Hrdlicka, he's played 200+ minutes more than any other goalie in this league, and kudos to him for the fitness that he's able to do that. And Estevan needed to score, I think 3 goals in about 5 minutes there, against Melville, and to win that game after being down 2-0 early. And Alex Blanchard, the beat goes on for him. We played buy it or sell it, right?
There you go.
And we were talking about whether there would be a 10-goal defenseman before Christmas. Well, Blanchard is 9. So
there you go.
How many games left? We said that last week.
Yeah.
They had about 12? No. It can't be 12. They've already played 28
They're
games.
pretty close.
They're close. We'll have to look it up.
But my point is that it's probably going to happen. But yeah, they just find a greasy way. Like, they're not scoring pretty goals. Sal Calora, a greasy goal right in front to win it. Sam McPeak, a greasy goal to win it in Melville. It's just by committee for Estevan right now.
And I guess finally, quickly, Nipawin and Kindersley split a weekend series in Kindersley. We talked about the importance of this series between the two teams, and both end up getting 1 win and 1 loss.
Yeah, kind of exactly how it was last week, a 5-4 back-and-forth shootout win, right?
Very
we talked about the
games.
Defensive struggles for Nipawin.
Yeah.
We've done that a couple times. Well, they started out the first game
down 4-0. Yeah.
And score 7 straight goals.
Unbelievable.
To come back in that one and win it. So the offense is there,
Yeah.
right? And whatever happened after going down 4-0, they closed up those gaps. And then a big win for Kindersley at home, which I think was also imperative. Those are the games where you're measuring up against the teams fighting for the playoffs, right? And you lose both at home in a home-and-home weekend, or homestand weekend, not home and home, but you know what I mean. And so a big win, the follow-up to double up the Nipawin Hawks 6-3.
Yeah, and shout out also to Kindersley for calling up Casey Brown from the Pat C's.
Yeah.
We've seen Brock Evans, another guy who is, again, Warman Wildcats, and we're going to see Mason Buchert maybe for Larange. He just got acquired, I think, earlier this morning by Larange from Canmore in the AJ. But Casey Brown, 06 from the Pat C's. He was the 4th pick in the last draft, playing with Brock Evans, who's the 3rd pick in the last draft, together on Kindersley, getting called up and making an instant impact. It was good to see for Kindersley to get a win there in front of a big crowd as well. Like, I think about 1,200 fans or something like that came out in Kindersley. Great to see, and to see the Poplawski twins, healthy, contributing. We all saw the skill there with the Poplawski twins earlier this year. They're a talented twin pairing. And the last thing I'll mention from the Nipawin side of things, it's good to see Alejandro de Leon produce again. You watch the Nipawin Hawks play, this kid is like a second from breaking out. He's talented. He had a huge year in BC AAA last year, 28 goals in 36 games in AAA last year. And he's a dangerous kid they got from Portage. So, there's a lot of good young players to like as we go down. They're going to continue to contribute and get better as this playoff race is going to be crazy. Every week we're going to talk about this crazy playoff race. Near the bottom, the last two spots are going to be just a battle all year. So.
Hunter Bergerson and a PDF going the other way for Mason Buchert.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And a very big win for Kindersley, especially ahead of a huge week this week, which we'll get into.
They still got game in hands as well. That's why it's big. That's why it's big.
They're going to make up a lot of those games in hand this week for sure, which we'll get to later on in the show. Well, coming up after the break, we will be joined by the CEO of Canadian Western Agribition, Shaun Kindopp, ahead of Agribition, which kicks off in Regina next week. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Capital Auto Mall is a proud partner of the SJHL, supporting the rich traditions and proud future of junior hockey in Saskatchewan. Capital Auto Mall, on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at sastel.com/fresh-start.
Boost your efficiency and your bottom line with Young's Equipment and Case IH tractors, including the cutting-edge Puma 150 CVX and the Maxim 145 with best-in-class efficiency. Check out the Case IH lineup today at Young's Equipment.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. My name is Jeromy Corrigan, and we are pleased to be joined now by the CEO of Canadian Western Agribition, Shaun Kindopp. Shaun, how's it going today?
Good, man. Appreciate you guys having us in. And
it's obviously a really exciting time right now, getting ready for Agribition coming up next week. I guess overall, first and foremost, how has everything been going when it comes to preparations for it?
It's been going great. Like, we were lucky enough, we follow the Grey Cup, which again, it provides a little bit of challenges, but again, all of us have been waiting for so long to be able to have some events, or to be able to have the Grey Cup warm the province up for us. Us kind of come in and finish it off is very exciting.
It's nice to have a little warm-up event like that.
Yeah, 100%. So like Ryderville is fully consumed almost with barns and bleachers, so it's they move quick.
For sure. Now, it's my understanding this is your first year on the job as part of being the CEO for Canadian Western Agribition. How has, I guess, the transition been into this new role for you?
It's been awesome. I've done events for a long time, which is good. Spent a lot of time in hockey and working with the reels, so the event side of it's been really good. Learning a little bit more of the livestock, and the massive event production has been. It's been a bit of a challenge, but it's been awesome. It's good to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. So
for sure. For those who might not be familiar with Agribition, maybe just explain exactly what Agribition is as a week-long event.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So if you don't know, Agribition is the largest livestock event in Canada. And we're not just a livestock event. We've got everything from trade shows and I mean hundreds of booths. So it's we've got the trade shows. We've got a lot of entertainment. We've got a world-class rodeo. We've got a Beef Supreme, which is against all of the breed champions from across Canada get to come in and compete at our event to be the champion of champions, which is awesome. So there's so much to come in and take in. So I would definitely recommend, if you haven't been, we've got a free night on Monday, courtesy of CN, that you can come and take those in for no charge. We got a free event for the rodeo on the Wednesday, courtesy of Mosaic. So there is opportunities for you to come by if you haven't taken it in before. So
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things that happen at Agribition that, you know, so if you haven't been, you can experience so many different things. Maybe just speak to how important Agribition is for the province of Saskatchewan.
It's huge. It's generating tens of millions of dollars. I believe that the number was 73.6 million previous years. And even throughout the pandemic, the support is there, as they've had almost 85,000 people came through the gates in the middle of a pandemic, and they even sold out the brand center on Saturday evening in a time when we needed to be social distancing, which is definitely a tip of the cap to all those people.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Obviously, you touched on there's going to be lots going on, but when it comes to livestock numbers, what do the numbers kind of look like this year, I guess, for Agribition?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. We so we're trending pre-pandemic levels in everything, whether that be whether that be in our trade show numbers or whatever that may be. But our livestock numbers are up in that 1,500 range, which is absolutely fantastic. As you never know coming out of a pandemic the true support or what people are doing. But the support has definitely been there, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah, maybe just actually to add to that, coming out of the pandemic and to get the support that you guys have been getting, what does that mean for you guys as an organization?
Yeah, it's good. Like you never know after people are forced to watch their funding or with staff or supply chains and whatnot. But it's been great. Just we're on to something. Obviously, we're on to something. We've been doing it for 51 years, but just that you're still trending the right way as the livestock numbers are there. Again, the rodeo numbers, like even our, we do have our rodeo is unbelievable. It's professional. Over 50% of our contestants were competed at the CFR. Like everything around what we're doing, that momentum is still there and still trajecting at a high level, which is.
And how are trade show numbers this year?
Awesome. Yeah, everything is, even whether that be international, everything is trending pre-pandemic, which is, again, even with the supply chain, we're definitely very proud.
And I also hear you have some special guests coming to Agribition this year from a popular TV show.
Yeah, we did a good partnership with Sask Milk, who allowed us to help bring them in. But we got two of the gentlemen from the bunkhouse. We've got Denham Richards and Ian Bowen, who play Colby and Ryan on the show Yellowstone. So they'll be at the rodeo on Thursday, and we got some meet and greets available for folks that do want to have a bit more of an intimate meeting with those guys, going for $100 just on our website. So it's super exciting to be able to give back to our fans who have been kind of supporting us as well throughout the pandemic, to be able to bring something exciting in.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything for everyone at Agribition. I guess for anybody that's interested in going, where can people get their tickets? Yeah, just even on Ticketmaster or even at the gate if you're coming up. We're looking forward to seeing everybody there. We're excited, even for the families. Our Family Ag Pavilion is back, so we're welcoming over 10,000 school-age students back to the grounds as well. So, yeah, everything. We can't wait to kick off next week. I guess finally, before I let you go, I have to ask you, I hear you have a special connection with SJHL Commissioner Kyle McIntyre. Could you tell me a little bit about it? Yeah, he was our middle school teacher, so I was definitely responsible for more than one of the many gray hairs that he has. Well, Shaun, we really appreciate you coming in today. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and thank you guys very much. And best of luck with everything Agribition this year. It's going to be great. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right. That is the CEO of the Canadian Western Agribition, Shaun Kindopp. After the break, we will be joined by the head coach and general manager of the Melville Millionaires, Mike Rooney. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Get red and ready with Case IH and Young's equipment. From Case IH combines to MacDon headers, Young's carries all the best in new or pre-owned harvest equipment. With field-ready, industry-leading equipment and highly dedicated service staff, we're here when you need us most. Come experience our award-winning service for yourself and visit youngs.ca to find your nearest Young's equipment location.
You wouldn't take the ice without protective wear. So why would you take to the job site that way? The SCSA is proud to partner with the SJHL.
Make way for the first ever Chevrolet Silverado ZR2. with multi-matic shocks, rugged 33-inch tires, and front and rear electronic locking differentials.
Dude, this is awesome, but we should get back to work. This good? Perfect.
If you're going to work remote. Find new workspaces. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year.
Capital Auto Mall is a proud partner of the SJHL, supporting the rich traditions and proud future of junior hockey in Saskatchewan. Capital Auto Mall, on the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Rory Mcgouran, Jamie Neugebauer, Jeromy Corrigan. Thanks so much for joining us today. And we are now going to head to the video chat line where we are pleased to be joined by the head coach and general manager of the Melville Millionaires, Mike Rooney, which every coach's conversation is presented by Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association. Mike, thank you so much for your time. How's it going today?
It's going all right. How about you guys?
We're doing great, staying warm and talking hockey. Mike, I guess first and foremost, a tough 3-2 loss to the Estevan Bruins on Friday. What did you make of your team's play Friday night?
You know what? We liked our game. We came at them with some really good speed early on. And you know what? Much like the other 17 one-goal games we've played in, we fell short. We're having a little bit trouble maybe getting over the hump there a little bit with those games. But 5-minute span, they scored their 3 goals second period, and it's kind of the regular narrative right now, and a little bit frustrating, but we are working through it, and we're continuing to look at things to turn those 1-goal deficits into 1-goal wins. So we'll just keep hammering away.
Mike, yeah, thank you so much for your time. I actually asked you this question when I was there in Melville not too long ago, but I'll ask it for the fine folks out here. When you talk about turning things around, the number one thing that teams often need is leadership. And it seems like you guys have that in spades, and an incredible human being in Zach Kane wearing the C. Just talk about, first of all, what he's like off the ice in terms of a leader, but also just how he's been able to be so dynamite and offensively consistent this year, given that he missed so much time last year.
Jamie, you're doing a lot of talking, but I can't hear you. I just hear an echo. I can't hear you guys.
Can you hear me, Mike, or no?
No, Rory, or I just hear an echo, kind of some voices.
How about me, Mike? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Jamie, do you want to repeat the question?
I can hear you very well.
Go ahead.
You can hear me? Okay, I'll ask the question what Jamie was meaning to ask. He mentioned that obviously during tough situations, you rely on your leadership, and you have lots of leadership when it comes to a player like Zach Kane. What does it mean to have that leadership on your hockey club?
Well, it means a lot. You know what? It's kept us very stable. And it's, Zach, real good teammate and real good person overall, above the hockey. And we got a number of people like that. And you know what? I think it speaks well. You could look from the outside and see us maybe in the same predicament as maybe we were years past. But you know what? We feel we're not. We feel we're a better team than what our record indicates. Although there is adage to, you are what your record says you are. But Zach keeps it together. You know what? He's still growing and developing as a leader, but a lot of good ingredients. So you know what? We truly are fortunate, and he's one guy that arriving here we seeked out people like that to be part of the Melville Millionaires, and we're glad to have them.
Hey, Mike, you got me now?
do so, Rory. Yep.
Beautiful. You mentioned prior that you're just trying to find a way to get over the hump, right? What would you kind of like to see in order for the team to try to break through? Because you also mentioned that you believe you're better than what your record says, which I also believe too. So what needs to be done for the Melville Millionaires to try and get over that hump and maybe close out some of these one-goal games?
Well, you know what? You can skim through the data and, right away you can look at some different things. You can look at power play, or you can look at, timely goals and different things like that. But it kind of comes down to the same equation for us is just getting a little bit better, or maybe quite a bit better, right in the guts of the game. You know what? We'll possess pucks. Our possession time at any given night is better than any team that we play. You know what? But at some point you have to get that puck to the inside, or you have to have results from the puck on the inside. And you know what? We're continuing to work on that, and we are getting better. And you know what? That's probably the biggest, the biggest thing. And with that, the power play is going to come a little bit better. I'm a little astonished. I won't reveal some numbers, but the goal scoring and shooting percentage on power play for some of our guys is totally, it's way different than what it is 5-on-5. You'd think we'd have better opportunity power play to have a better scoring percentage, and we don't. So it's a little bit, perplexing a little bit, trying to figure some of it out. But if we keep doing some of the things that we're doing, playing at pace and possessing pucks and being solid in our D zone, things are going to turn.
Is that just shot selection that maybe you're looking at to maybe get those shooting percentages higher on the power play? Just maybe a little more attention to detail? What is kind of the catalyst to try and drive those numbers up?
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. I was doing some comparatives here through the weekend of, why are, guys scoring 5-on-5 and maybe getting some better opportunities. But, when you look at the, shot location and trying to just look at some different aspects, and there doesn't seem to be a real direct common link. We like our power play. We bring pucks up. We have good entries. Once again, we possess well. We'll make plays. There'll be times where we miss the net. And that would be one thing. We have to get our on net stuff better, 5-on-5 and 5-on-4. But there doesn't seem to be a real direct common link outside of just in the guts of the game for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. I guess one of the things that coaches often do and GMs often do is if they're struggling a little bit to find results, they bring people in, and then that's the way it works, for every team in the league, try to make additions. So talk about some of the ones that you made recently. Isaac Suppin was a guy that, you and I talked about how he had some success, in other leagues before. And also Ethan Anstey, a guy that, of course, with Centennial Cup experience, SJHL Finals experience from the Flin Flon Bombers. Talk about some of those recent additions from Melville.
Yeah, you know what? With Isaac, he was a guy that it was a good addition. We knew he could add some offense. A very smart player, somewhat cerebral at times, but he finds people, but he finds the open ice, and he's got a real good scoring touch. So, you know what? A couple games in, he's got a couple points, and you know what? We know in the long run he's going to help our offense, and we feel he has experience as well. Obviously, we've been playing as far back as 17 in junior hockey, so he's got a lot of games under his belt. And Ethan is a guy that fits really well with our group. He plays with pace, good speed, on pucks, and kind of a little bit like Nathan Fox, who we got in here a little bit earlier, where they just drive pace and play a real good, responsible game, and maybe never had the opportunity to contribute on offense or play in those roles through their junior career. And we're seeing Nathan, he's starting to pop here, and he's on a bit of a point streak, and don't want to jinx him there, but he's doing well. And we feel Ethan can be that similar type player. And with his added experience, it certainly is going to, really fit well for us. And we're not a team that makes a lot of moves and trades. I wouldn't say I don't believe in that, but I believe in continuity and loyalty, and maybe to a fault where we'll be real loyal and work with guys, and we want to have a good dressing room, and we just don't bring random guys into our room that we don't think will fit.
Exactly what you just mentioned. Are you still looking to add to the Melville Millionaires? Like, the key pieces are clearly there with the amount of talent, Zach Kane, Noah Wills, but are you still kind of taking a look to maybe add to the Melville Millionaires, seeing how tight this playoff race is to get back in? Although, you're 6 points out, which isn't really a lot. You can accomplish that ground in a week, right? So
yeah, you can, Rory. And you know what? Yeah, we're always in the hunt, so to speak. You're always looking. You're always filtering through things, and I think I said it to somebody last week. It's not like you just wake up on a Tuesday morning and flip a trade on a Wednesday and you're done. And they sometimes go quite a bit longer than that, and it's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, we want to improve our team every way we can. And once again, we're not going to dance with the devil and have somebody into our room that just for the sake of points or certain qualities that they can help on the ice, and maybe they detract, off the ice for us. So, we're always in the hunt. I'm sure every team obviously is the same, looking for good people, good teammates and all that, but we're really true to it. And if the right fit and the right person comes along, we're certainly going to look to improve our team. Yes.
Just last one for me then, Mike. Again, we appreciate your time. Just talk about, your goaltending situation this year. Obviously, in the league we watched a guy like Austin Elliott that, had maybe some strong Western Hockey League ties, but a very young guy take the reins there in Notre Dame. It seems like it's a kind of a similar situation maybe with you and Kelton Pine with his connections up there. We just talk about the load that a young guy like that has had to carry. Obviously a talented guy, but a load like that and how important it is that Clement Labelois can stay healthy and be in your lineup too.
Yeah, you know what? It's a young guy. It is hard, but other players and other goaltenders have done it, and Kelton has had a lion's share of the games, but really with Clem, we came out of the Laurent set and he split there 1-1, and Kelton played very well in Flin Flon. Probably the most shots we've given up on a combined 2-game basis, and even on a game-to-game, and so he did play quite well for us up there. Coming out of that, about the first practice back, Clem had a little hand injury that took him out for a number of weeks, so we had to give the ball to Kelton, and we were quite comfortable with that. But really, the lopsidedness in our minutes is really based on the fact that Clem got nicked up, and it's not something that's going to be a chronic injury, and he played the other night, and he'll play through what he has, and it's really not an impact at all. It would probably hurt me more in my daily life as far as what it does for him to play goals. So he's back and at her, and you're going to see a little bit more balance in our goaltending starts. And Clem is a little bit of a secret, and we feel real comfortable that he can get us some wins as well.
Hey, Mike, we talked about that you can accomplish that ground pretty quickly over the course of the week. Well, look at the week you're about to have. It's Kindersley twice and Nipawin once. Those are two teams also in the same situation, in the thick of that playoff race, trying to get back into 8th. How much weight do you put on this week and the importance of the schedule for the Melville Millionaires?
Well, we've been saying that for about 3 weeks now, so it's kind of a lost narrative. If I go in the room now, they just look at me like I'm telling the same story, but it's such a swing in the games. And even like I say, we went in our 4 and 5, and we wanted to get a split. We thought we could get a win out of each building, and we almost did it. And so we came back with 2 points out of the 4 games, and we had this big set ahead of us, and we just we just finding you could say finding ways to lose. And it's a little bit like a leaky boat sometimes. You get a hole patched, and you think you got it covered. You got the D zone settled in, and then there's a turnover at the offensive end, and then there different things like that. And we were clipping along really good with our penalty kill was going really well. Great job, and one of the tops in the league. And then all of a sudden, leaky boat starts again there. So you know what? It's been a little frustrating. These games though are they're huge. They could go a long ways, and we can always say there's lots of the season left, but you just have to make hay when it's there. And not only will we get 2 points, but we'll stick them with another loss in their loss column, and that's important too.
Mm-hmm. So I guess finally, Mike, what do you expect from the Kindersley Clippers on Wednesday night at home?
Well, you know what? They seem to be, a hardworking crew, and you know what? They're a little bit, same boat as us. They've been having their struggles, but they've been a little bit hotter than we have been here lately, and they seem to kind of go up and down a little bit with their goaltending as well. So, I don't expect them anything less than maybe what we even seen from Estevan. I know, Kindersley doesn't, maybe have the same type of scoring depth as some of the other teams, but you work hard, and they got some pieces there where they're sitting there probably telling the same type of narrative as us, to stick to it and keep putting pucks on net and those types of things. And they're going to be a tough opponent, and they got an experienced blue line, and it's going to be a good match.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We really appreciate it, and best of luck this week in your 3 games.
Perfect. Thanks, guys, and have me back once we crawl back into that playoff spot, please.
You got it. That is the head coach and general manager of the Melville Millionaires, Mike Rooney. And Rory, you brought it up. It's not only a massive week, obviously, for the Melville Millionaires, but even the Kindersley Clippers, who are on this stretch as well. Yeah. But for all these teams, they're all kind of fighting each other this week in the standings.
You always ask us at the end of the show, what are you looking forward to this week?
Yeah.
I would have said the Melville Millionaires, because those are the games that, if you can pick up all 3 wins, right, against Kindersley, Nipawin, well, we said they're 6 points out. So yeah, it's right back in the thick of things. They got the pieces, man.
They
Mills
do.
And Kane and Peyton Kostitian. The goaltenders are good, although they have a couple good ones. So. Just maybe once that leaky boat gets the holes patched back up.
Love the analogy.
It's right back to full steam ahead.
Well, we talked about it. I think all 3 of us can agree that this is definitely a much better team than what the record shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And what he was saying, another thing about boats that are leaking.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm trying to think of the right word.
That's why we talk hockey, not boats.
Is that the more that the boat, you're moving a boat that's leaky, the more it's going to sink, the more that momentum is going the wrong way, right? So the Melville Millionaires, as you said, are trying to find ways to win hockey games instead of lose them. And I know from working for a team that is in the playoffs right now, that could change with a bad week, 2 weeks. Knock on wood, but. Every game does feel kind of like Game 7 of the playoffs, already. Especially when you play against the Yorktons, the Melvilles, the Waverns of the world. It feels like playoffs. And if you don't go into those games with that mindset, then you heard it from Mike Rooney. I was half expecting him to give you some coach talk, Rory, and say all games are important. 2 points are 2 points. And he was actually no. Like when we're playing Kindersley, it is basically the playoffs. When we're playing Nipawin, it's basically the playoffs. And he's absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah, and it was Bill Parcells, I think, who said, "You are what your record is," right? Yeah. But it's so much in a imperative time in the season
Big
where
time.
These games, they matter, man. They matter. I know Mike said that, I think we've been saying this for 3 weeks, so the players listen to me, but they do. These are key games this week, so you don't have to ask me at the end of the show. That's what I'm looking forward to this week.
This has been Boat Talk, though, on SJHL Weekly. We do have some important business, though, to get to before SJHL Weekly wraps up, and that is Players of the Week. Let's start with SGU MVP of the Week. We talked about how busy the Flin Flon Bombers were, and Cole Dupro, 4 goals, 4 assists. Rory, you saw him yesterday, a hat trick and an assist. Talk about his performance yesterday and just a great week for him.
He had a touch on every single goal.
There you go.
It's pretty good performance, right, when you pull out a 4-1 victory. But we talked about his shot, and that's the best part of his game. When he gets it off, it's one of the best in the league. And power play goal, a shorthanded goal. He's on the ice in all situations, and then picked up the hat trick. in the empty net. And great to see the Flin Flon Bombers travel down some of their fans. I'm not sure if they were from Flin Flon or from where the kids on the Bombers are from coming to Humboldt, but there was about 5 or 6 hats being thrown onto the ice when Cole Dupro scored his hat trick. So I just love to see that too.
16 goals, 15 assists on the season, 5th in SJHL scoring. So congratulations to Cole Dupro, SGU MVP of the week. SaskTel goalie of the week. No surprise here, I don't think. Josh Cote in Battleford. I mean, Nugsy, you were talking about it earlier. Over 100 saves in 2 games. It's surreal, but an unbelievable performance by Josh.
Yeah, and beggars belief, like what he's doing this year. Like, honestly, he's been absolutely remarkable. Yes, he's got a good team ahead of him, but Rory, you know, those rinks, those neutral site rinks, those small rinks. We talk about it with L'Orange, right? Like shots coming at you quick from every angle. Every shot is a scoring chance in those barns. And, he's quick. He never quits. He's a great competitor. He seems like a real character based on what we see on social media, too. He's really fun on social media, too. So, yeah, he's great for this league. And the stats speak for themselves. He gave up 5 goals officially on 114 shots.
It's pretty good.
He could have been the MVP.
He could have been he's the MVP goalie.
He could have been the MVP.
We'll say this. Yep. He was the MVP of the week going into yesterday.
Yeah.
And then Cole Dupro decided to get 3 goals.
Behind the curtain.
Sunday games matter, Nugsy.
They sure do.
Well, I'm the Notre Dame broadcaster. You don't have to tell me that. I've been arguing this for years.
Sunday games matter, folks. Sunday is a day of the week for sure. But yes, congratulations to Josh Cote, SaskTel goalie of the week. Direct West rookie of the week, Jacob Leege of the Notre Dame Hounds. Nugsy, I mean, you see him every game. What'd you make of his week?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I'm not surprised that Jacob Leege is starting to really contribute offensively. His line with Matthew Fair and Antoine St. Ange looked outstanding against Yorkton. And as I said, he's always got the speed. He's always had the skill. It's just about matching it with just enough grit and just enough understanding of where to go on the ice to generate offense at the junior level versus the U18 level, where he was a star in U18 hockey in Michigan, which was a great place to play minor hockey. He's a talented kid with a great family. He's a great young man as well. So I'm very happy for him, and it's very well deserved after a 4-point week.
And congratulations to Jacob. And finally, defenseman of the week. There was lots of great performances this week by defensemen, but we ended up going with Parker Layton of the L'Orange Ice Wolves, a goal and an assist. I mean, it was a great weekend for obviously L'Orange, but we're seeing contributions from everybody in their lineup, and Layton had a goal and an assist as well.
That's the biggest thing, and Nugsy hinted at it earlier in the show. It's a sneaky good blue line that we don't talk about enough, right?
Yes.
And Parker Layton, just one of the cogs. Connor Abrick, another one, and 6 wins in a row. We talked about, what was this, 2 weeks ago now? About maybe 3 weeks ago. But how important this homestand would be for L'Orange.
Yes.
Well, they've won every single game.
Couldn't do better.
Yeah, they did not lose a game.
Yes. No, they did not.
Parker Layton, just one of the key members of a defense corps that I think people underrate when they play against L'Orange.
100%, for sure. So in recap, players of the week, SGU MVP of the week, Cole Dupro with 4 goals, 4 assists. SaskTel goalie of the week, Josh Cote with 2 wins, a 2.45 goals against average, a .956 save percentage, and I think most importantly, what we talked about, 109 saves in 2 games. Direct West rookie of the week is Jacob Leege of the Notre Dame Hounds with 4 assists. And then defenseman of the week is Parker Layton of the L'Orange Ice Wolves with a goal and an assist. Before we go, let's take a look at the next couple of nights here in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. We got a couple of midweek games. We talked about Kindersley. Kindersley, they have a busy week. I don't know if I've ever seen a stretch like this in junior hockey. 5 games, 6 days, and it all starts tomorrow night. Big one, Kindersley versus Yorkton. And then the other game is Weyburn against Notre Dame. We've heard rumblings that maybe the game might not happen. To be determined. And then Wednesday, we have 2 more games on tap. Kindersley, of course, in Melville to take on the Millionaires. And the L'Orange Ice Wolves kick off 3 games in 3 nights against the Humboldt Broncos. I mean, Rory, I won't ask you about what you want to, what you're looking at this week. I'll ask you about that game on Wednesday between Humboldt and L'Orange.
I'm glad you did, because that is a key game. I think you have 2 teams going in 2 different directions right now. We mentioned Humboldt's in a slump. Humboldt's in a slump right now, and L'Orange is rolling. Now they're finally going to leave the Mel Hagland Arena. This is the 3rd out of 4 straight home games for the Humboldt Broncos. They got to pick up some points right now. But, I mean, Battleford's twice, Estevan twice, Melfort, Flin Flon, now LaRange. Those are 7 out of their 8 last opponents.
Yeah.
And
Hasn't
you're measuring yourself against the best teams in the league. Humboldt is considered one of the best teams in the league, but so far they've kind of come up short in this last little stretch. So it's another game against LaRange. They'll have one more home game, and then they're down south back against Weyburn. But this is a measuring stick game for both teams, I think.
Yeah. And you talk about a measuring stick game, too. I mean, yes, LaRange has been great. But yes, we mentioned they've played at home a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not just this stretch, but this whole year, Rory. Like
They played a lot of home
This
games,
is going to be their 8th game where the other team is the home game. So I'm taking away. Yeah. No. I'm taking away the showcase game. Because the showcase, everybody's in the same boat. So they've played 8. LaRange has officially played 8 away games, so 7 of them where the other team is the home team.
Yeah.
That's my point.
There you go.
So there you go. But my point in saying that is that over those 8 games, LaRange is 500 and with a -10 goal difference. So I'm not saying LaRange is a bad road team. I'm not saying that. So don't take that the wrong way or that way, anybody in LaRange. I'm just saying LaRange hasn't proven the same things on the road that they have in the Mel Hegland Uniplex. And it'll be very interesting to see what they look like up in the EPA. Now they've got the character and the talent to do it, you'd think. Should be very interesting. And Braden Malsbury, a brand new broadcaster for them.
And as of right now, we don't know if those games are going to be played at the ACC in North Battleford just yet. They haven't made an announcement. The rink was supposed to be closed for a week, but obviously things could get turned around. So stay tuned to the Battleford North Stars social media to find out where those games.
Get ready.
Wilkie,
come back, baby.
Battleford, who knows?
The home of Weyburn broadcaster Nick Nielsen.
That's right.
Yes.
He's so proud of it. Guys.
He is. Jamie, I'll ask you, though, this. What are you looking forward to this week? And what are you keeping your eye out on?
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about Kinders and we talked about Melville. Like, what are they? Are they? Which direction are they heading? Both teams so similar to me this year in that they have not played poorly. I think if we had Ken Plaquin on the show, which we should do very soon, hit us up, Ken. Is that they've not played bad? Like they've been right in a lot of games, and they just haven't gotten the bounces. And there've been a leaky boat here and a leaky boat and an injury here, and injury there. So similar between Melville and Kindersley, and then they're facing each other. So it's a chance to prove, what type of team are we when they face each other. And again, that Wednesday night game, if you're in the Melville area, get out there because it's going to have a playoff mentality because it's two teams that want to prove what they are and who they are, more to themselves even than to all of us.
And I'm going to throw a little bit of a wrinkle into that Kindersley-Melville situation, because Kindersley also plays 2 games against Yorkton this week, too, and Yorkton plays 3 games this week, too. Those 3 teams, I think, this week, it's crucial for all 3 of them if they want to have high hopes of getting back in the playoffs, because, like I mentioned, Yorkton plays 2 games at home against the Kindersley Clippers, and then I do believe they're in Humboldt on Saturday.
Yeah. 5 games in 6 days is absolutely insane scheduling making.
Unreal. Tuesday, Wednesday, day off.
But good
Friday,
luck. It'll
Saturday,
be fun.
Sunday.
It'll be a strong adventure for the Clippers to navigate through that, especially by the tail end of it.
It's an adventure, too, for LaRange. I mean, they have Humboldt, Battlefords in 3 days.
Yeah.
Also, so I joked with Mike Rooney, are you trying to kill your kids? Kevin Kaminsky. I'm joking again. Are you trying to kill your kids? Kevin Kaminsky there up in LaRange. That'll be quite an interesting. Are the LaRange Ice Wolves as good as we're all raving about? We'll find out this week as well.
Flin Flon had 3 points out of 6 against the North Stars and Broncos in the exact same situation, except reverse. It was Battleford's Humboldt. LaRange is about to go through it.
We'll see how LaRange does. But yes, lots of important games this week across the SJHL, and that's just during the week. And then we get on, obviously, into the weekend, and there's some important matchups for sure. We have to thank our sponsors once again for the unbelievable support for SJHL Weekly, because without them, this show would not be possible. Chevrolet, Capital Auto Mall, Great Western, Canterra Seeds, RBC, SaskTel, SGU, Direct West Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, who presents each and every coach's conversation, Tourism Saskatchewan, and Young's Equipment. Thank you so much for your support. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with everything in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, be sure to go to sjhl.ca and follow us across all of our social medias. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Highlights, features, our shows, of course, are on the YouTube channel as well. So make sure you are up to date in all of our social medias.
And also FIFA World Cup Team Canada, this guy.
Yes.
This
Wednesday,
guy right here.
Wednesday.
Get the update in quick.
Wednesday at 1 p.m. Canada will play Belgium. Watch it.
Are you going to be
That was
live
it.
tweeting?
No, I will be sitting there like this.
Oh, okay, all right.
Good thing the show's not on Wednesday.
Because I will not be there.
There you go. So be sure to follow us.
I didn't say that, did I?
So be sure to follow us across all of our social media. It's going to be another busy week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. For Rory Mcgouran, Jamie Neugebauer, my name is Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been another great edition of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.